Night. More sunshine tomorrow and warmer, a little breezy as well. High near 70. Slight shower chance tomorrow night. Weekend mix of sun and clouds. 70s continue. Temps stay above average to start next week. Currently at 62 degrees.
Matt Nair on air.
Vice President and Director of Marketing for Versity, Gretchen Jameson, is with us.
When you donate blood, there's a couple of different products, if you will, that your blood can produce. There's whole blood. You can do platelets every 2 weeks. You can be a double red, which is what you do.
Yes. For me personally, whatever I can do to maximize my gift, as you say, is worth it.
So you can go to versity.org and take a look at all the different ways to donate and give.
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays 10 till noon on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
From the Lake Shore to Lake Winnebago.
Or to Fond du Lac counties.
Northeast Wisconsin is special for many different reasons. I'm Lisa Hale.
And I'm Terry Barr. Family and fun.
Safe communities and friends. We're featuring all of it as part of New Wisco Weekend, a news magazine show just for you, and highlighting what makes the Fox Valley and Green Bay area a great place to live. Join us.
New Wisco Weekend, Saturday mornings at 8, Sundays at 11 on WGBW and WISS and the Civic Media app. Maggie Dawn.
Next, I'm joined by Chris Alfheim, candidate for State Senate District 18. We'll be talking about northeastern Wisconsin politics.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
And now, a guy who thinks outside the box and hates cliches, Pete Schwaba.
That's me, your loyal host of Nite Lite. I hate cliches, and I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and spew out cliches like I just did. It's great to have you with me. Welcome to Nite Lite, wherever you are joining us from in our lovely state on this absolutely stunningly beautiful fall day. It is great to have you with me. Pull the whole family in around the radio. Let's do this old school. Gather them around. Dad, put on a nice smoking jacket. Grab a pipe. Mom, put on your best house coat and some slippers, and gather the kids around. We're going to talk about entertainment tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and that is something that right now, with all of our polarization and all the political talk and all the dog and cat talk last night and the Packer Bear talk, whatever it is, we need to come together, and we're going to do that tonight, talking about entertainment. That is on the agenda like it is so often here at Nite Lite. And we've been doing it all week, and we've been doing it for 10 months now. So thank you for being a loyal listener. And if you are tuning in tonight, whether it's on the radio or the stream, welcome to Nite Lite. Conrad, how can people watch the radio?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba, WGBW, and YouTube, Civic Media, WGBW, and on X, Civic Media, or WGBW. Sorry, I meant Twitter.
Twitter. Come on, man.
No, we're not ranting about this again, all right?
I know. We've done that enough. If you're on any of those mediums, platforms, whatever you want to call them, feel free to give us a like or a follow. We'd love to get those. We do have a fun show tonight. What did you have you been here all day cooped up in this studio?
I've been here since about 12:30 today.
Well, that's not too bad.
No.
But you didn't produce the morning show again, or you did?
No, not this morning. No. Todd is back.
Todd is back. All right. All is right with the world. It is so beautiful out today. I hope you got out and walked over and got a happy gelato. I think we should make a happy gelato thing, because we did sad gelato when it got colder.
Well, it's going to,
now it's so beautiful again.
It's going to get colder again, though, so then, it's like, yeah.
You don't think it's worth it?
We might have to make that in, spring. Or we could make it for any day that just feels beautiful.
It just feels beautiful. Every day is a good day. Let's remember that, kids. That's why we're here tonight, to remind you of how lucky you are and to practice some gratitude. Great to have you with us. Great show tonight at 6:35. It is a Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. That means only one thing. Well, it means a lot of things. But tonight on Nite Lite, it means it's our popcorn pick of the week. And joining me tonight to make the popcorn pick will be Eric Hulse from Colonel Popcorn in the Wisconsin Dells. I've been trying to have Eric on the show for a few weeks. He's one of the first people, or his wife actually, Patricia, I talked to They were one of the first popcorn companies I reached out to try to get them on the show. This is even before we had made the popcorn pick of the week. So I've wanted to have Eric on for a while. I'm glad we finally figured it out. These popcorn companies, Conrad, have a really, they're busy. People love popcorn. And I've talked to 2 or 3 of them who have said, it's my busy season. And I'm like, wow, some people like popcorn more than at other times of the year. Or maybe they're like corporate stuff or whatever. Either way, it's great to have Eric here. As I understand it, he's a big fan of movies. He'll give us a popcorn pick of the week, and we'll talk to him about his product and get his pick at 6:35 tonight. And then in the second hour, mob aficionado, let's call him, Robert Dennis, Bob, as he's known to his friends, and I hope I consider myself one of his friends, so I'll call him Bob. Bob Dennis will be here at 7:20. We're going to talk about mob movies. And Bob has kind of an interesting past when it comes to Hollywood. He's been part of different shows when he was a kid and then when he lived here in Green Bay. So we'll talk to Bob about all of that. But I'm going to ask Bob what the state of the mafia is in Wisconsin right now. Because contrary to popular belief, Conrad, I am not in the mafia. What do you
really?
What was that doing? What were you doing there? You checking out your cup?
It looked like there's something at the bottom. And yeah, I don't know.
You've been nursing that all day?
Yes,
Wow.
kind of all day, yeah. But I think I'm going to dump it because I see something in the bottom of it now.
Get rid of those floaters. You don't know who was in here taking a swig of your
It was just me. I
beverage.
don't know.
So Bob will be here at 7:20, and we'll talk some mob movies and the mob and some of his experiences with Hollywood, which are kind of interesting. So fun show tonight. Also, our question of the night, given that Bob will be here, is what is your favorite mob movie? I can't believe we haven't done this question before, but it's very simple. Not quite as simple as last night where it was dog or cat. That almost seemed like we were mailing it in.
But dogs won.
But dogs won. And
So
it is
I'm
a legitimate question. But what is your favorite mob movie? That is our question tonight. I would have to start off. That's a tough one, actually. I think it's The Godfather is oftentimes talked about as one of the best movies ever. Thereby, you'd have to almost consider it as one of the best mob movies, obviously. But on a lot of lists, Goodfellas is number one. There's so many more mob movies. One of my favorites is a Coen Brothers film called Miller's Crossing about an Irish mobster in Baltimore in the 40s, I believe. Gabriel Byrne, Albert Finney, Marcia Gay Harden, great cast. John Turturro, John Polito, great cast. And a really underrated mob movie, in my opinion. So that's our question. What is your favorite mob movie? You can let us know. Did it sound like I said mom? What's your favorite mom movie?
Miss Doubtfire.
She's not even really a mom. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let me know. Favorite mob movie. It's a good one, folks. So get in on the action here. Is that kind of a dude-heavy question, would you say? Seems like guys like mob movies more than women.
I think mob movies are, they're great.
Yeah, exactly.
You get into it as soon as,
They could just be good movies. Doesn't have to be a guy or girl movie.
Yeah.
Right?
My favorite is A Bronx Tale.
Oh, Bronx Tale is awesome.
That movie is so good.
I love that. And I know I talk about this all the time. We've talked about that movie probably one or two other times. I love the scene where Robert De Niro is walking down the street with his kid. And it's just, they're in the Bronx in a neighborhood and the sun is going down. And it didn't have that like Hollywood lighting where everything is lighter than it should be. You could barely make out their faces. And you saw a lot of activity around them. It was just so real. You felt like you were looking in on these two people. Great scene.
The Family Guy made like a little version of The Bronx Tale by themselves.
Did they? Really?
It's hilarious. If you got time, watch the Family Guy version.
We should cut it. Let's cut it. If we can't get it on tonight, let's cut it for tomorrow night. So I watch these reels at night, and the you know what reels are, right? Like on Instagram.
Yeah.
Quick. Yeah. So one is called The Soccer Assassin, and it's this kid who kicks a soccer ball, and he drills one kid, and that kid goes down. The ball bounces back to him. He drills another kid. That kid goes down. Ball bounces back to him. He kicks it again and drills the first kid he put down while he's down. And it was to that Axel Foley music that Peter Griffin does. And then it has the and it was, I'm literally, sometimes I watch these when I crawl in bed next to my wife at like 1 a.m. and I can't stop laughing. And she's like, knock it off. But the whole bed starts shaking. Some of them are so damn funny. Okay, so those are the guests. That's the question. And some good movies. Here's where we're at. Okay, right now, Hollywood, and I know this for a fact because a few of these are mine. There are scripts sitting on shelves at Hollywood studios that would make great movies. But this weekend, we are looking at 2 re-releases of films, Back to the Future Part 2 and Hocus Pocus. And they've been doing this more and more the last couple months, re-releasing films. And it's fun. I mean, if you want to go see these films, I feel like they should be in the dollar theaters, though, or the second-run theaters. These multiplexes are putting in these re-releases. And whatever, okay, they're there to make money. I get it. But any day of the week, give me something original that I haven't seen yet. Like the choices this weekend at the movies are not that great. You got Smile 2, a sequel to a horror film, which somehow is pulling in 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't get that. But I've said, and we've talked about this on the show with Mariah Gates when she was on, and I think I asked Rob Thomas, are critics turning into wimps and just giving good reviews so they don't lose their press passes or their free screenings? Maybe. All these horror films are coming out and getting really good reviews. I do not get that. Not saying they can't be great films. Maybe they are. The ones I've seen, okay, they're okay. But 82% for Terrifier 3 got in the 80s. Smile 2 is getting in the 80s. I'm struggling with that, Conrad.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I was like, maybe I'll go see a movie this weekend. Maybe, and I looked up the theater in Green Bay on the east side, and I was like, there's nothing here. I'm not a huge horror fan.
Same.
And like most of them, it was like the Terrifier 3 was like one of the newest movies there.
Right.
The others were like, yeah, nothing too special.
And those are your options this weekend. 2 re-releases, Hocus Pocus and Back to the Future Part 2, which I loved, but I don't need to see that again on a huge screen 40 years after its release. You can't do better than that. And then Smile 2. And then there's a Michael Keaton movie that has not been made available to critics yet. So who knows? I mean, I like Michael Keaton, but pretty poor assortment of films at this week's box office. So if you do go, let us know what you saw. Let us know what you felt about it. Tonight's question, in honor of Bob Dennis's visit to the studio. He's coming into the studio. Did I mention that?
Yeah.
I love when guests come into the studio. I realize my guests are from all over. They can't always make it. Do you think we should ask Sage or Todd or someone for some kind of travel budget? It would be great to get like Jeff Tully and Jamie Kaler last night were here, and they're on over the stream from L.A., and that was great, but fly them in.
Yeah.
Give them a per diem. Let's get some more studio guests. I kid, of course. Bob Dennis will be here. We're going to talk mob movies and the state of the mafia in Wisconsin. Eric Hulse is here in just a few minutes to make the popcorn pick of the week. He's from Colonel Popcorn in Wisconsin Dells. Check it out. They have some great flavors, all of which we'll discuss coming up. And our question tonight, what is your favorite mob movie? There's so many good ones to choose from. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC, or you can let us know on the app or the stream. So many ways to contact Nightlight, and we hope you do. It's Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Well, we busted out of class. I could get away from those foes. We learned more from a 3-minute record than we ever learned in school. Turn out to hear the neighborhood drummer sound and feel my heart begin to pound. So you're tired, just wanna close your eyes, follow your dream down. Well, we made a promise, we swore we'd always.
Listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor. This is an important announcement for Wisconsinites who plan to vote in the November 2024 election. Leading nonpartisan economists have analyzed the economic plans of Donald Trump and concluded that he would cause inflation to rise and the economy to slow. And 16 Nobel Prize-winning economists wrote a letter warning that Donald Trump would reignite inflation with his fiscally irresponsible budgets. Donald Trump's tariff plan would act as a national sales tax, costing the average family as much as $4,000 per year. But Vice President Kamala Harris's plan would help middle-class families deal with rising costs. In her first 100 days, Kamala Harris would pass a ban on price gouging at the grocery store. And as vice president, she worked to cap the cost of many prescription drugs, including insulin, saving many families thousands of dollars per year. On the economy, the choice is clear. Vote Kamala Harris for president. Paid for by A Better Wisconsin Together Action, www.abwt-action.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Looking for a roundup of the day's important headlines in a quick podcast form? Search no more. Find it now at WGBW.FM. Your news just for the Green Bay area. I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News.
Out here in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes, that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Trouble sleeping, your mind racing. So what do? We get help. There are people in our community who are here for us. Sometimes, just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council. Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at Love.
This is a great one. The Boondock Saints. That's an answer to our question tonight. What is your favorite mob movie? 608 says Boondock Saints. Norman Reedus. And I want to say Sean Patrick Flannery maybe was the other guy. They were just like two Catholic vigilantes. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but it was a good film. I liked it. Annie from the 920 says, some like it hot. Annie, it's been so long since I've seen that movie, and I remember Jack Lemmon and I'm blanking on the other guy, of course, but was that a mob movie? I don't even remember the mob element to it. But I totally trust you, and I believe you. So let's go with that. That's a great one, Annie. Some like it hot. Sherry says, good evening, Pete and Conrad. Conrad, do me a favor. Google Some Like It Hot. And find out was it Burt Lancaster? It was Jack Lemmon. I know Jack Lemmon was in it. I love Jack Lemmon. Sherry says, good evening, Pete and Conrad. Hey, Sherry. Love Sherry's emojis, as usual.
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, I know. That's the part I knew. Oh.
Wait.
Is it Burt Lancaster?
Who plays who?
I don't remember the character name.
All right, so
40 years since
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis. Yes, thank you, sir. All right. And is there a synopsis there? Does it mention the mob?
Jack Lemmon.
Conrad is very thorough. I don't know if you folks have picked that up. Sherry says Scorpio. Is that I don't know that movie, Sherry. This is like the second time in 3 weeks Sherry has stumped me. Let's go to the IMDb Pros, I like to call it. Scorpion. The Scorpion King. Scorpio. Oh, I thought she meant maybe Serpico. Yeah, Scorpio from 1973. Burt Lancaster. Oh, maybe she heard me say Burt Lancaster. Is that a mob movie, Sherry? Oh, yeah. CIA orders CIA crossing Delicap Mouse. All right. I can't just sit here and read websites while I'm on the air. That would not be responsible radio.
It's good radio. It's good radio.
It's good radio. Hey, Pete, read a book on the air. That sounds great. Thank you, Sherry, for that. Jameson in Pennsylvania, you are 100% on The Godfather, but my favorite is Casino. The ending is brutal and haunting. You know, Jameson, this is so weird. Casino is based, the Joe Pesci character, I think Joe played Anthony Spilatro. And the Spilatro brothers were Chicago, heavies, so to speak, the muscle for the mob, as they say. And they ran a gang in Vegas called the Hole in the Wall Gang. And you're right, they were buried. That's a true ending. They were buried in a cornfield in Indiana. And when I was at DePaul University, one of their daughters pulled up 2 weeks after they discovered the body of her father and uncle to the dorms at DePaul University in Chicago. Pulled up in a limo, and word spread so quickly around the cafeteria, that's a Spilatro. And I was like, and I can't, all I remember was feeling horrible for her. I mean, the guy did terrible things. He was a gangster, but that's her dad. And I was like, man, you got to go start college 2 weeks later. But Casino is a great movie. Robert De Niro, Don Rickles, Joe Pesci, Sharon Stone. That's one of the, that's a good one too. Okay, so, all right, Conrad just did some research. After witnessing a mafia murder, yes, that's right, they witnessed, saxophone player Joe, played by Tony Curtis, and his long-suffering buddy, Jerry, Jack Lemmon, improvise a quick plan to escape from Chicago with their lives. Disguising themselves as women, they join an all-female jazz band, of course. I knew that. I couldn't remember why they were doing it, though. But that's all right. That's great. Thank you, 608. These are all great. And Casino is good. Casino came out, and I can't remember who I was talking about this with. It came out maybe a couple years after Goodfellas, and Goodfellas is just on kind of another level. But Casino is a little bit of a slower pace. It's a longer movie, but I think it's every bit as good as Goodfellas. It's a very good film. Where am I at here? I'm getting lost here. Okay, my favorite mob movies are The First Godfather and Scarface. That's Anna from the 608. Both outstanding films. And The Godfather is one of those films I cannot turn off. It's so good. It's so well done. Every aspect of it. The way it's lit is beautiful. The acting is amazing. The script is tight, even though it's a long movie. 608 says, I think this can be considered a mob movie or at least organized crime, but Motherless Brooklyn was exceptional. I don't know that movie. Unrelated to today's question, I saw The Joker last night and thought it was really good. Obviously dark, but there was a storyline. The acting was excellent, and I even enjoyed the singing and it didn't seem out of place. That's Monica from Mount Horeb. Thank you, Monica. You guys are always welcome, as you know, to share if you did see something and can either pan it or recommend it. Love that too. Always feel free to share. That's a great text. Thank you, Monica. Sherry from Horicon says, yes, in response to my earlier question. Thank you, Sherry. Annie from Watertown, Tony Curtis. Yes, wow, everybody's been really helpful tonight. Sherry sends a heart. Love that. Annie from Watertown says they witnessed the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Okay. I might have to give that a rewatch. It's been probably 40 years. I think I saw it with my grandma at her house in Northbrook, Illinois. And then Sherry says, Serpico is mine. Okay, so Sherry said Scorpio initially. I thought that's maybe what she meant. That's an Al Pacino film, too. He played Frank Serpico. Really good movie. And then it became a TV show. And it's funny because Al Pacino just looked like a New York City cop. He has that really gritty look. It's like Handsome Grit. And he was younger, and he played this cop. And then the guy they cast in the TV show was a guy named David Burney. I think he was married to Meredith Baxter Burney. And he just didn't have the same. I remember thinking the TV show was kind of interesting because I liked cop shows, but he just didn't have the Pacino vibe. But anyway, great text. Keep those coming. What is your favorite mob movie? That's what we're talking about tonight. Bob Dennis will be here in the second hour to discuss his. We'll talk mob and mob movies. And our popcorn pick of the week happens in just a few minutes with Eric Hulse from Colonel Popcorn at the Wisconsin Dells. That's coming up after award-winning news here at Civic Media. Mike Desitel checks in on the stream and says Jack Lemmon, not Jeff. Did I say Jeff Lemmon, Conrad?
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon.
We've established you know how to say that name. But where did Jeff come from?
Maybe you said it by accident.
Maybe I did. I don't know. Wouldn't be the first time. I make a lot of mistakes. All right, so fun show tonight. Some mob talk, some popcorn talk coming up next, and we're going to give a popcorn pick of the week. You will not want to miss that, folks. Great to have you with me on this Thursday night edition of Nightlight. We're almost there, folks. The weekend is right around the corner. This is Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
One night in a disco on the outskirts of Frisco, I was cruising with my favorite gang. The place was so boring, filled with out-of-towners touring. I knew that it wasn't my thing.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Todd Allball Show.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. 24 Wisconsin high schools are getting new AEDs. Sudden cardiac arrest is a leading cause of death among young athletes. The WIAA is working with the National Federation of State High School Associations Foundation on the effort. AEDs can greatly increase the chances of survival when they're used right away. Wisconsin's haunted house attractions offer a wide variety of thrills in the second half of October. State Tourism Secretary Ann Sayers says a popular family-friendly draw is Jack-o'-lantern nights at the zoo in Racine.
It's more than 1,000 jack-o'-lanterns. They light up the night through the end of October, and they're intricately carved into cats and scarecrows and other Halloween shapes, and then they line the pathways and just dazzle the visitors.
There's more at travelwisconsin.com. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The Green Bay Common Council considered whether to keep an invocation or prayer at the beginning of each meeting Tuesday. Green Bay resident Eric Druziski spoke in favor of keeping the invocation.
I have seen great moments in council where opponents of the mayor have prayed for him. I've seen occasions where the mayor has given prayer or invocation on behalf of people who would be considered his political opponents.
The council asked Mayor Eric Genrich to form a committee to draft guidelines for future invocations. The Green Bay Packers are asking the Green Bay Brown County Professional Football Stadium District to help speed up negotiations with the city of Green Bay over the lease of Lambeau Field. The current lease for the NFL team ends in 2032, but Packers officials say they will only make improvements to the stadium if a longer-term commitment is made. The Packers want to extend the lease for another 30 years, but want to freeze the rent. And that's what you need to know. I'm Lisa Hale, WGBW News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Well, if you haven't had enough of the Monster series and the Menendez brothers on Netflix, you might be interested in what's on tap for Season 3, especially since it has a Wisconsin connection. Sons of Anarchy's Charlie Hunnam will play Ed Gein. The show has just added a few season pros to surround Hunnam in Laurie Metcalf, Tom Hollander, and Olivia Williams. Metcalf will play the mother of Ed Gein, Hollander will play Alfred Hitchcock, and Olivia Williams will play Hitchcock's wife, Alma. Sounds whimsical. Dog and superhero lovers, have I got a film for you. Variety reports that Krypto the Superdog, Superman's companion, will have a role in James Gunn's upcoming Superman film. Gunn announced the newest cast member on social media since October is Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. In case you were wondering, yes, Krypto is also from the planet Krypton, Superman's home planet. The director says Krypto was inspired by his own dog, who reportedly is a very good boy, but a terrible actor. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Have you ever
Reserve your tickets today for Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. Go to fishonmarinette.com to learn more.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear, a low close to 40 tonight. More sunshine tomorrow and warmer, a little breezy as well. High near 70. Slight shower chance tomorrow night. Weekend mix of sun and clouds, 70s continue. Temps stay above average to start next week. It's 60 right now.
Get your tickets today for the premier fall event, Blues, Brews, and Barbecues in Marinette, Wisconsin, featuring 6 elite barbecue chefs, award-winning craft beer, and 2 iconic blues musicians. Kicking off the night, Hall of Fame inductee Joe Moss, following Joe Toronzo Cannon, playing tunes from his current #1 album, Shut Up and Play. November 2nd at the Community Rec, Blues, Brews, and Barbecues. Go to fishonmarinette.com and click on the pig for more information.
Supported by Travel Wisconsin.
The Todd Alba Show.
Minority Rule. The author is Ari Berman.
If you look back at Wisconsin history, it gave rise to Social Security and unemployment insurance and collective bargaining. It really personified the idea that no matter what political party you were with, government should work for the common good. And Walker had a very different idea, that government should work for this conservative elite instead.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
On tomorrow's show, TJ Bowles and Marvelous Ethan.
It's time for the Night Lite Popcorn Pick of the Week, where we recommend a movie that you'll either enjoy or won't. Here's your host, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back. Yes, it is that time of week. Before we get to our next guest, Eric, I want to just say we gave away about 7 or 9 tickets or something last night for this Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. It takes place in Marinette at the Community Rec Center there, November 2nd. That's my hood, people. Represent Marinette, November 2nd, 5 to 10 p.m. Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. Great music, a brisket cook-off, and excellent beer from the Rail House up there in Marinette. It's going to be a really fun night. Tickets are $17.50. But if you text us tonight, we'll give you tickets. Should we cap it at like 1,000?
Yeah.
All right. So text us, leave us your name if you want to go. We've got free tickets here. Let us know. And without further ado, I'm very excited to bring in this next guest. He is the owner of Colonel Popcorn in the Wisconsin Dells. His name is Eric Hulse, and he is here this week on Nightlight to help us make our popcorn pick of the week. Eric, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Really like the show, Pete.
Well, thank you. It's really good to have you here. I said earlier on the show, I spoke with your wife on the phone about a few weeks ago.
Right.
And she said you were a big fan of movies and TV. And I said, we got to have him on the show. And since that conversation, we've started this popcorn pick of the week, where we have someone from a popcorn company, ideally, on every week. And I've been very much looking forward to this because I know you're such a fan of movies and TV. So welcome to Nightlight. Yeah.
Right.
Now, are you in your store there? Is that where you're?
Yeah, I see a bunch of popcorn behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 132 flavors to choose from.
Wow. I was looking at your website. Let's do this. All right, before we get into the flavors, and there are so many, tell us about Colonel Popcorn and how this started for you, Eric. How did you get into this racket?
Well, I was in sales for quite a few years, and I was traveling too much and apparently complaining too much because my sister-in-law called me up. Now, she has the candy store here, part of our store, and she's been making the fudge chocolates and candies here in the Dells for 45 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, she calls me up, and I was somewhere in California, and she says, hey, what about popcorn? I said, what about popcorn? What are you talking about? She says, well, no, the guy asked me today if I knew anybody wanted a popcorn business. I said, I have 5 kids and a mortgage. Are you kidding me? I can't do popcorn. And but you can't keep asking God for a door to open and then laughing at when it does. So we took a pretty big pay cut and a pretty good chance and started a popcorn store. And we started with, we started with about 30 flavors of popcorn. And my wife kind of really liked the inventing part. She's like a mad scientist in the kitchen, always coming up with new flavors. So she comes up with all these things. And we like to use an ingredient a lot of people don't use anymore. It used to be in everything. You've probably heard of it. It's called food.
I'm familiar with that.
Right.
Yeah.
It used to be in everything you got. Now it's hard to find. So our cheese corn has popcorn, coconut oil, and cheese. 3 ingredients. That's it.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, our caramel corn has no caramel flavoring, no high fructose corn syrup, and no preservatives. So it is real molasses, real butter, lots of sugar. I'm not saying it's health food, but at least it's actual food, But with 132 flavors now, we got something for everybody.
So were you living in California and you came back to do this?
No, that's why my home is here in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And wife was here, the kids are here, and I'm traveling all over doing sales.
Gotcha.
And so I was gone too much, and I just wanted to be home. So we took a pretty big financial cut on that. But I was home every night. I got to be with the kids. I did all of the school stuff, the overnight things and the travel and the camping and the, stuff, show up for parent-teacher meetings, all the
Yeah.
important stuff I was missing. And it turned out a blessing. There's no 401k, there's no retirement fund, but the kids are happy and they're all out and launched into the world successfully. So I think we made a good choice.
That's fantastic. And you can't put a price on that either, being around your kids, because once they're gone,
having that time is just too precious to miss.
Absolutely. And you had healthy, lovely snacks too throughout. It sounds like their childhood.
Lots of snacks.
Well, are you from the Wisconsin Dells, Eric, or did you go
I'm
there
imported.
Okay.
I'm imported. My wife found me languishing in California, and I come across her. I was in the movie business myself. I was out doing movies and TV shows, and I got my SAG card and worked on that for a while. And but as you know, that kind of business is ups and downs. And I was in a down area when I thought, you know what, I need to find a job that'll pay me some money. And I saw an ad for a activities director in a resort park. And as it turns out, her brother hired me, and I ended up working with her for about a year before we started dating. And then one thing led to another, and she said, hey, I'm going back to Wisconsin for Thanksgiving. You should come with me. Now, I don't know how you feel, but I think guys are kind of dense on the hints part. I didn't know I was going back for a check it out with the family kind of thing,
Right.
And apparently they approved, and I never left Wisconsin. So 30 years I've been out here now.
Well, you could do a lot worse. You're in a beautiful part of the state there, in a great state. So so lucky you.
Time.
Yeah, that's so great. And I'm always fascinated, and we talk about it on this show a lot, with the paths that people take to get them to where they are.
You never know what's right around the corner.
Exactly. And I never knew I'd be doing this. And, Conrad's only 24. He still had big dreams. He's nowhere near where he wants to be working with me. But what are you going to do?
Hey, it might launch him right into where he needs to be.
That's right. Exactly. So, all right. So this is great. That's a great story, Eric. Thank you for sharing that with us. Let's talk about some of your flavors here at Colonel Popcorn. The ones that jumped out at me, I'm going to ask you. I mean, they all sound great. Mango lime chili popcorn. How do you do that?
Okay, well, that started, my wife comes up with all these things, and that one started with, we went out to eat, and we had a tilapia with a mango lime salsa, and the next day she's mucking around the kitchen, like you said, like a mad scientist, and she comes out and says, here, try this. I'm like, oh my God, that's dinner last night. That's fantastic. And one batch, and she had it right. We didn't change a thing.
Wow.
But another one, like Lay's, she calls it Lay's barbecue. She wanted to taste like Lay's barbecue chips. And she worked on that one for 3 months before she finally got it right where she wanted it. It's a huge success, but it took a while.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Like you have to be creative. Yeah. You have to think outside the box, and there's trial and error. Did you use the kids to
There's a lot of trial and error. Yeah. And they definitely would try everybody, the kids, the customers. Whenever she comes up with a new batch, she only makes one batch, and then I sit out and sample it all to everybody. Here, try this new one. It's called this or it's called that. And then we take the customer reviews. We go majority rules. If they say it needs more pepper, we put more pepper. If they say it needs more garlic, we put more garlic. Whatever the response is, until we come up with one everybody's happy with.
That's great. All right, here's another one, Eric, that really caught my eye. I don't even know. I couldn't even venture a guess on what this flavor is, so I need your help here. 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse popcorn. What is that? All right. He's holding it up to the screen.
That is a combination of ghost pepper, habanero, chili cheese, gunpowder extreme, and Texas Red Hot all blended together. Now, this is not a mild popcorn, but it's not like sign a waiver, you're taking your life in your own hands kind of thing. But it is real ghost peppers, real habaneros, lots of cheese, and it's just fantastic. Onions, garlic, it's just a really wonderful flavor. But when people come in to try it, I say, okay, it's a mixture of 4 different popcorns, so you can't really have 1 or 2 pieces. So we're going to do a popcorn shot. And so we have shots of popcorn, and everybody has to follow the shot rules. And I say, I don't know you. I don't know if you know the rules. So everybody holds theirs until everybody's got one, and then all at once. And then we all eat this popcorn, me included. And there's quite a few red faces in the bunch when that happens.
You have some water ready for people.
Yeah. Oh, we sell a lot of ice cream that way.
Oh, nice. You mentioned this in, I think, as part of that one, chili cheese gunpowder. Where did that come from?
That's one of those. That one, I was at a boat show up in Minneapolis, and I was helping a guy up there, a friend of mine, and I was walking around, and this guy was selling a chicken and steak rub, and he called it Gunpowder Extreme Chicken and Steak Rub. So I had to get some of that. I tried it, and it's like, oh, that would make perfect popcorn. So when we got it, I mixed that with our cheese corn. Our cheese corn is real Wisconsin cheddar. So we mix up the garlic, onions, and peppers that comes in that thing, and it made a perfect popcorn. That's great for snacking. You can eat it while watching a movie. You can eat the whole bag. You don't have to worry about tomorrow.
That's so great. Why do you think, Eric, popcorn? First of all, what's your favorite snack when you're watching a movie? And is it vary between movie or TV show or?
No, not really. Typically, I'm having popcorn. But like if I'm having a deli sandwich, I'm having dill pickle popcorn with that. If I'm having a movie, it kind of depends on if you're feeling salty or savory or sweet, With 132 flavors, we got something for everything. People can tell me what they're going to eat with it or what they're going to watch, and I'll recommend them a particular flavor. So it's kind of like matching a wine with your meal.
I love it. You have also root beer float. How did you come across? How did you?
Well, you ever have root beer barrels?
Yes.
Okay, so basically we make root beer candy. I roll the popcorn in that, and it tastes just like a root beer barrel. Now, to make it taste like a root beer float, we also make a popcorn called vanilla ice cream, and just mix the two together. So they're in the bags together, just brown and white, and then you try them together and it tastes like a root beer float.
All right. Just a couple more here. White Zinfandel. First of all, it's so funny with wine. I remember when White Zinfandel was all the rage, and I think I got bullied into ordering it once with my wife and her sisters. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll have White Zinfandel.
Right, yeah. I am not a fan. I'm not a big wine fan, and people love that thing. Now, my problem is I'm the taste tester. My wife comes up with all these recipes. And I come into the shop one day and she says, here, try this, and stuffs it in my face. I'm like, oh, that is horrible. It tastes like wine. She's like, all right. Good job.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. But, man, I'll tell you, the gals like it with their book clubs. They like it with their when they get together and just, having together time, I guess. It's very popular.
Yeah. Well, it's such a great snack, too. And I've talked about this before on the show, how popcorn became popular because it was cheap in the Depression. Yeah, and now it gets to the point where when you hear it popping, it makes me want to watch a movie. Like it is so synonymous with TV watching and movies. So that's one of the things I love about doing this segment. And the last one I want to ask you about before we get your pick, Eric, is chocolate peanut butter drizzle.
Right. Okay. Well, who doesn't like a good chocolate and peanut butter, right?
Right.
So, again, we make chocolate or a peanut butter candy, basically. We use extra chunky Skippy peanut butter for that one. And then when you cook peanut butter, it tastes a lot more like peanut brittle. So you got this popcorn that sort of tastes like peanut brittle, and then we drizzle milk chocolate all over it. So it gives it a really nice chocolate peanut butter. It's just fantastic.
You know what's funny, too? Like all these things you're saying it sounds so delicious. And like you said, it's not healthy. However, it's natural, so it's still healthier than eating like a Cheeto.
Much better, much better than a bag of chips or something like that.
Right.
And the best part when you're in the store is that you can try any of them, so you're never going to be disappointed. You don't have to like them all, but you're going to find the ones you do like, and then that's when you're going to pick and take home.
That's so great. Okay. Conrad, if you please, I think we are ready for our popcorn pick of the week from our guest, Eric Hulse from Colonel Popcorn in the Wisconsin Dells. Drum roll, please.
The
Eric,
Princess Bride.
Oh, nice.
That is my classic all-time favorite. It's got action. It's got comedy. It's got drama. I mean, when Montoya is talking about his father and how he's going to get it's just moving every time. Right. And the combination of Andre the Giant and the sword play and everything is just too much fun.
The whole movie, I remember watching that in college, and someone said, we went into a friend's dorm room, and he's like, I got The Princess Bride. It was on VHS. I'm like, oh, what? Come on, what, really? What? Even in that movie, with a room full of dudes, that opening scene between Wesley and Robin Wright Penn is so beautiful and intoxicating. The music and her voice and just, I mean, it's...
And his straight his straight up adoration with "As
Yes.
You Wish," no
As You
matter what.
Wish.
Yeah.
So great. And with the music by Hans Zimmer, that is an excellent popcorn pick of the week. Eric, can we keep you for a few more minutes past the
Yeah,
break here?
sure.
We got to do a very quick thing, and then I want to ask you about your days as an actor.
Awesome.
And maybe a couple other fun stuff, too. We'll get
Sure.
Eric Hulse here. He's going to spend a few extra minutes with us on Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. We're coming right back on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The Talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Covering all the news that affects you with humor and a unique perspective. Matinaire on Air with Jane Matinaire. Weekdays 10 till noon on The Talk of Green Bay, 97.9 FM and 1590 AM WGBW. And on the Civic Media app.
The green and gold tailgating the frozen tundra. Lambeau Field has a legacy all its own, including where to build it. Residents on both sides of Green Bay argued for it. Officials wanted property with room for growth. In the end, 50 acres of farmland was purchased, but the address, Schwaba. More bargaining, and in 1956, the land was annexed to Green Bay. Now, do you know the other reason leaders considered this annexation so important? Parking, beer sales, keeping the Packers in Green Bay? The answer coming up. The Green Bay City Stadium project moved quickly from there and in less than a year opened with a Packers-Bears game. It became Lambeau Field in 1965 following the death of team co-founder and coach Curly Lambeau. So did you guess why the land annexation was so important? It's all three, keeping the team in the city, parking, and beer sales. Schwaba was dry at the time. Officials believe Packers fans wanted to be able to buy beer and could in Green Bay. This history makes it a true slice of Wisconsin. I'm Terry Barr for the Civic Media Radio Network.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
We've all felt left out. And for people who move to this country, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that.
Says Miller's Crossing is a masterpiece when it comes to mob movies, and I agree, Dave. But seriously, you're still texting. You're entering in the same amount of numbers. Text the damn text line. It's a good friend of mine, an old friend, who just does that now to get under my skin. But either way, it's still fun to have him. All right, we just made our popcorn pick of the week with Eric Hulse from Colonel Popcorn in the Wisconsin Dells. Eric, I forgot to ask you this. Where can people find your popcorn? Do you do a mail order thing? Can they order it online? You share that with us, please.
Yeah, we're at colonelpopcornsfactory.com.
Okay.
And then, of course, come and see us in the Dells. It's more fun that way when you can try it yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We have a gelato place next door to here in downtown Green Bay here, and I swear to God, I walk out of there, I'm 1,000 calories in from the samples before I even make my orders. So,
well, like I say, with 132 flavors, you try any of them. So that's a really great way to find the ones you want.
That's so great. A couple things in our interview I just kind of glossed over, and I felt like they deserve more attention. 5 kids?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my daughter's a homicide detective. My
Dear
oldest
Lord.
boy does cybersecurity in Budapest. I got one that was in the Air Force and now is going back to school. I got one that's in the Army now. He's a combat medic. And the baby just graduated from college last year. And now he's interviewing for being a DNR in Wisconsin.
Wow, well done.
Yeah.
I would imagine as much fun as they were, you and your wife are probably just kind of enjoying the silence a little.
It is a pleasant thing. We are very, very happy when the kids come to visit. But every once in a while, you just sit and go, Oh, isn't
Right.
that good? You know, yeah.
Listen to that silence. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sound.
So the other thing I glossed over with, you're a SAG actor.
Yeah.
We're fellow union members of SAG.
All right,
so
all right.
congrats. What did you do? Were you so you lived in LA pursuing
Yeah.
acting a little bit, or
Well,
what?
I was in between jobs, and I was reading the paper one day. Actually, I was working at a boys' home as a taking the guys out to go play basketball and that kind of stuff, and getting them some exercise. And one day I was reading the paper afterwards, and an ad about want to be an actor, call us, blah blah blah. And they're like, "Ooh, I want to be an actor." I'm like, no, it's just a gag. They just want your money, And they wouldn't let it go, of course, being teenagers. And so finally, I called them up. And I was going to say, yeah, how does this work? Do you hire kids, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as the phone answers, I say, yeah, I'm calling about your ad in the paper. She says, well, can you be in a movie tomorrow? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Well, we need people for, and the movie was The Ring of the Musketeers with David Hasselhoff and Cheech Marin. And I'm thinking, well, I got to work tomorrow, so no. And she says, I said, but what's the important part? I said, how much does it cost? She says, it's $40. And I said, see, to the kids, they just want $40 from you. And so they all went about their business. And I'm going to say, thank you, no. And she says, well, yeah, but tomorrow pays $40 and we'll ship you down to LA to film. And we just need a bunch of people tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Just kind of brushing her off. And she tells me where to be and when. And I'm thinking, no way, I got to work tomorrow. I don't have $40 in my pocket. And so as soon as I hang up, the phone rings, and the boss calls and says, yeah, don't forget, you got to come and pick up your overage check tomorrow, and or tonight, this afternoon, she says. And she says, by the way, one of the other guys wants to know if you can switch days off with him because he's got a dentist appointment. I said, okay, but when's my day off then? He says, tomorrow. And so I'm like, okay, it's kind of like fate, So I showed up this place. They took my photo. They did some headshots. And I went down to LAX, and it was so simple. They're like, okay, here's what you do. David Hasselhoff is going to walk into the airport. You just follow in behind him and go to the right. When I see action, start walking. And that was it. And I kind of got hooked. It was so easy, Right. I mean, I could follow directions, for goodness sake. And then seeing all the behind the scenes stuff was amazing. It was really cool. So I had a really nice lunch, and then they sent me on my way, and I didn't think anything of it. About 3 months later, I get another call, and they're like, oh, hey, we need you for another movie. And I said, oh, hold on, what are you talking about? And I had totally forgotten about it. They said, yeah, that $40 pays for a year with our service. And I'm like, oh. And so I went back in, and then next thing you know, I'm doing it every weekend, then every day, then all week long. And
how fun.
Kind of fell into it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, man, that's great. How old were you?
Oh, gosh, 29,
wow.
30. Yeah.
So
And,
you kind of had the bug a little bit, it sounds
a
like.
little
You
bit. I
get
got a little
taste
bit of
yeah.
it. And I was in between life, as they may say. Had a divorce and lost my job, family, and car all in the same day.
Oh my goodness.
And so I was kind of floating, and this came across, and I needed something to do, so I did it. One of my best ones was one of my favorite ones to do was Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
And I played a paramedic in that one. And you can always tell the best movie sets to be on by craft service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah. So I did a really low budget one called Cyborg 2, which the first one was Jean-Claude Van Damme, but by the time they wanted to do the second one, he was too expensive because they had gotten famous. And so it was a really low budget. The craft service was literally a bag of chips, 4 apples, and a 6-pack of soda. And there's like 40 of us, and that was the craft service. So like,
and you took Van Damme's role.
No, I was a cop in that one. I got to use a 9mm machine gun. We were filming down in Long Beach at the shipyards, and almost got blown up. it was quite interesting.
Oh, man. Well, let's pick up there next time. I got to have you back sometime. This is really fun. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Princess Bride is Eric's pick.
Right.
And have a great night. Thank your wife for me. And, yeah, let's do this again.
Yeah. Thanks, Pete.
Right.
We'll talk to you again soon.
You got it. All right. That's movie star, popcorn aficionado, Eric Hulse. Check out Colonel Popcorn, colonelpopcornfactory.com. When we come back, Civic Media award-winning news is up next. Then Bob Dennis and I talk mob in the second hour at 7:20. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, join us next time. Our old friend Peter Rapine from EPOM's World wraps up with a week in review, the lighter side. Join us.
The Todd Albaugh Show, weekdays noon till 2.
Max Inc. on Civic Media, live in the lair with Kaylin Cole. Have you ever walked away from a karaoke performance thinking, yeah, that was a lot better than the original person?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I should admit that or not.
I think you should. Because now we know there's a song.
Jimmy's tugging on it now.
I know. Oh, you're going to get me in trouble, Jimmy.
It's live in the lair. Grab the podcast now at maxincradio.com and listen live on Saturday nights, 6 to midnight across the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network. You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW 1590 AM Denmark, W250CV Green Bay, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Celebrations and worry across Israel after the assassination of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. The hero Moor's uncle was an Israeli hostage who died in captivity.
I'm not shedding one single tear for the life of him.
Sinwar, the architect of the October 7th attacks, killed today by Israeli troops in Gaza. A Texas county judge delaying the scheduled execution today of a man who would be the first in the U.S. put to death in a shaken baby syndrome case. Earlier today, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected a clemency plea. In La Crosse, Wisconsin,
Election day is in 19 days.
Vice President Kamala Harris barnstorming the battleground state today. President Biden arrived in Germany tomorrow, meetings with European leaders, likely the last of his presidency. Researchers finding that RSV vaccines dramatically reduced ER visits and hospitalizations for Americans over 60 years old who had symptoms of RSV infections over the last year. This is ABC News. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky pitching his plan to end the war with Russia to European and NATO leaders.
Zelensky's message to EU leaders and NATO defense ministers.
If we start now and follow the victory plan, we can end this war no later than next year.
But the war isn't going well. The Ukrainian president wants an invitation to join NATO and wants Western-supplied longer-range missiles to be allowed to strike deep into Russia. Few expect anything to happen this side of the U.S. election. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
Layoffs are underway at Meta, specifically staff at WhatsApp and Instagram. Meta says teams are making changes to align with long-term goals. Numbers of people affected weren't disclosed. Residents in parts of New York and Vermont are walking in a winter wonderland. Overnight snowfall brought 12 inches to Mount Mansfield, marking the earliest that a foot of snow has fallen in the higher elevations of Vermont's Green Mountains in 14 years. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Trying to find a place to stay in Green Bay for the big draft? Go to simpleliferentals.com. Vacation rentals made simple. Our dedicated team of local experts have a passion for hospitality, creating seamless guest experiences for guests. Experience the NFL draft in a vacation home instead of a hotel room. With seamless check-in and check-out procedures and round-the-clock dedicated support, you'll enjoy the convenience of instant online booking at simpleliferentals.com, guaranteeing you a stress-free start to your vacation. simpleliferentals.com.
I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News. Your news roundup in quick podcast form. You can find it anywhere at the WGBW website, WGBW.FM.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Joint Council 389, based here in Milwaukee. They've endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz for president and vice president.
Trump offers nothing to a regular working class person. Talking about not taxing tips and not taxing overtime. Well, you don't have to tax overtime if there is no more overtime. That's in his Project 2025.
The Maggie Dawn Show, weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Civic Media News, I'm Derek Tritz. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Charges are filed against Jesse Vang and Katrina Bauer in the death of Elijah Vu. Manitowoc County District Attorney Jacqueline Labrie made the announcement at a news conference Thursday afternoon.
While I will not comment further on the details of the case out of respect for the ongoing judicial process, I assure you that we remain committed to working with law enforcement to hold those responsible for his death accountable.
Elijah was the 3-year-old boy from Two Rivers who went missing in February and whose body was found last month. A bail hearing for Bauer and Vang will be Friday. Vice President Kamala Harris is blitzing battleground Wisconsin with 2.5 weeks to Election Day. She campaigned in Milwaukee, La Crosse, and Green Bay Thursday. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan are critical to Harris's chances of winning in November. And that's what you need to know. I'm Derek Tritz, and this is Civic Media News.
The Packers with a new place kicker. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers signed place kicker Brendan McManus after he was cleared by the NFL last week. 2 flight attendants aboard a Jaguars team plane to London last year accused McManus of sexual assault. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst says he trusts the league's findings.
Yeah, I think I'm, going through the details with them, and again, I'm not going to get into the details, but we felt very good about their investigation and what they got out of it to make us comfortable with this move.
McManus worked out with the team and says he's grateful to be back in the NFL.
It's been a difficult time these past couple months, and I'm happy that it's in the past now. I was hoping and working hard for another opportunity, and I'm extremely grateful for the Green Bay Packers for giving me that next chance to come back out here and play the game I love.
NBA, the Bucks and the Mavericks tonight in Dallas in the final preseason game. Doc Rivers hoping his team improves on defense. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear, a low close to 40 tonight. More sunshine tomorrow and warmer, a little breezy as well. High near 70. Slight shower chance tomorrow night. Weekend, mix of sun and clouds, 70s continue. Temps stay above average to start next week. Right now it's 58.
On the next New Wisco weekend, what is joy and how do you find it? I'm Lisa Hale.
And I'm Terry Barr. We'll take you to one place with joy in its name, the joy of music, and more.
Saturday mornings at Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now a guy who doesn't believe in sex after marriage, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back. Hey, if you're up for a good time on November 2nd, got to watch the way I phrase that after that intro. But from 5 to 10 at the Marinette Community Rec Center, they're having blues, brews, and barbecue. We had Sean Katzbach on last night, who is the marketing director for the Marinette Community Rec Center, who talked about this great event they're doing up there in my hood. And they've got 2 outstanding blues musicians, live music. That's right. They'll be there playing in person, a brisket cook-off, and some really great beer. And the brisket thing is a competition. Would you judge something like that? Oh, yes. Conrad, you're drooling all over the council. Yeah, that sounds fun. Tickets are $17.50, but we're giving some away tonight. So if you text us and tell us you want to go, we've got a couple tickets with your name on it. So let us know about that. Our question tonight is, what is your favorite mob movie? And we've had some of the usuals tonight, but a few that have thought outside the box. Some like it hot. I was not ready for that, and I forgot it was a mob movie, to be honest with you. But some great texts coming in so far. Let us know what you think at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let us know what your favorite mob movie is. And we will have our in-studio guest, Robert Dennis, will be here in about 15 minutes. And we'll talk about mob movies with Bob. And he is also quite knowledgeable on the mafia. And we'll talk to him about the state of the mob these days in Wisconsin and in general. So that's coming up in just a few minutes. Our text line is, Bridget said, I really like Eric's stories. Bridget from the 818. Yeah, Eric had a great story. It was a great backstory, too. I love how he got into kind of the acting part of it. That was interesting. And how he ended up in the Wisconsin Dells. And it's funny because, like, here he is, this guy growing up in California, and you tell him, oh, I'm going to own a popcorn store in the Midwest in the Wisconsin Dells and have 5 kids. He probably had no idea. I love stories like that. From the 608, Untouchables. That's a good one, too. Brian De Palma, Kevin Costner. Great shootout scene at the at Union Station in downtown Chicago. I can't go into downtown or into Union Station without thinking of that scene and where they shot this and where they shot that. I tend to, whenever I go to Chicago these days, I'm kind of done driving really anywhere if I don't have to. So I take the train. We'll drive to Milwaukee and take the train downtown to Chicago. And it's so much fun landing in Union Station and seeing where they shot some of those great iconic scenes. But The Untouchables is a great mob movie. And the scene where Sean Connery dies is great too, where he's crawling and he tried to hold on. I think he was holding on to the name. No, or maybe it was an address. But a great scene there as well. So that's a great one, 608. Thank you very much. So, okay, it was Norm Macdonald was a stand-up comedian, and he died, I want to say, in 2022 maybe. But Norm was a really good stand-up. I never had the pleasure of meeting him or working with him. I was not a stand-up for that long, just about 10 years or so. But he's a guy I always kind of wish I had worked with. And he's very funny, could be very fun. His act was funny. He could be very funny off the cuff. And we have a clip here that I want to play. 2021 is when Norm Macdonald passed away. But there's a great clip of him that we have from when he was on Conan O'Brien. Courtney Thorne Smith was the other guest, and she was talking about just having done a film with Carrot Top. And Norm couldn't help himself. Carrot Top, of course, the red-headed prop comic who is kind of all over the place. And a heck of a nice guy, as I understand it. Never had the pleasure of working with him either, but I did meet him once. So the movie is called Chairman of the Board, and it was Carrot Top and Courtney Thorne Smith. She's telling Conan about this, and Norm is sitting next to her. And it's kind of a long clip. It's a little over 3 minutes long, but stick with it. The payoff is great.
Well, I want to talk to you about something, because this came up earlier in the show accidentally, because I didn't know what Norm was going to talk about tonight, and it's best sometimes if I don't know. But he mentioned Carrot Top. You are making a movie with Carrot Top, right?
I made a movie with Carrot Top.
Okay. You made a movie with Carrot Top. It's not out yet.
No, it's
Can you
not
put the
out yet.
picture up of Carrot Top again, just so we can all see him? Oh, there it is again. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Wait a minute. She left Melrose Place to do a movie with Carrot Top?
That's where I'm going, my friend. This begs the question now. Why a movie with Carrot Top?
Why a movie with Carrot Top?
I mean, no, I don't know much about Carrot Top, you know? I don't know much about him. I'm a little jealous because he's a red-haired comedian, and I felt like maybe you'd do a movie with me first, then move on to Carrot Top, then to Ralph Mal from Happy Days. You know, it's sort of the three. There's an order in which you do movies with the redheads. What's he like, first of all?
He's extraordinarily sweet.
Nice guy.
He really is. And he worked very hard, and he was adorable.
And he works with a lot of props and stuff, too, right?
Not in the movie.
Oh, in the movie they took his props away?
They took his props away.
That's a bad time to suddenly take away everything you know about comedy. You know, you've been using props now all your life for comedy. Now we're going to take them away when you make your first movie. Was he okay, though, with it? He was cool?
He was great. He did a wonderful job.
Do you have a scene where you and him embrace?
Yeah, lots of making out.
Oh, for God's sake.
Nothing but making out.
All right.
It's like 9.5 weeks, but Carrot Top. we were doing.
Wow! I gotta check out that movie.
Is it called 9.5 Seconds? It's like he's premature.
You know what happened? This is what happened. You know what happened? He said 9.5 seconds, and I'm looking at him because I know there's more. And I wait, and I see the glimmer in the eye, and then bang! I thought you were going to crack, but no. But what's the movie going to be called?
Well,
Really?
I know what it's going to be called.
Yeah, what's that?
If it's got Carrot Top in it, you know what a good name for it would be?
What's that, Norm?
Box Office Poison.
She's in it.
What about my career?
Courtney Thorne-Smith, the girl sitting to your left, is in the movie.
I'm going to go see it for Courtney.
How do you steer everybody else away?
No, I love this girl. I would see any movie with this girl in it. She's a beautiful lady and a talented, nice talk show guest.
As evidenced by her appearance on our rival show. All right, well, there's this 2-hour season finale of Melrose Place. There's this movie coming out.
Yes.
Title undetermined at this point.
Chairman of the board.
Oh, all right. Do something with that, you freak.
I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D.
That's so great. Norm Macdonald on Conan O'Brien for several years ago. And it makes me wonder what happened to Courtney Thorne-Smith. She was so likable and fun. On every interview I saw her on, she was a good actor. And you just haven't heard much from her recently. So I always wonder what is happening with Courtney Thorne-Smith. But that's a great clip. And we have one more Norm clip. This is funny. This is a joke Norm did about the Olympics. It's a much shorter clip. Was this on Conan too? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
This is also on Conan, where Norm is talking about the Olympics. Here's Norm Macdonald again.
I watch every sport, so the Olympics is my favorite thing. And I don't watch them. Like sometimes in the Olympics they have like lame sports, you know, where they're not real sports, you know. Like a lot of times what they'll do is they'll try to combine two sports together, you know, make up a new sport.
Right.
You know? They're fine sports together, but when they mix them up, they make a god-awful mess, you know? And like I saw this one, I remember, it was a guy, he'd like run a 100-yard dash, and then fish. You know, the guys... you know,
fish, yeah.
he's fishing in a creek.
So that's not a good one. You don't like that.
No, and you know, all the sports, and they got the great sports, and then the bizarre. Like, you ever see that one where they like walk fast? It's the fast walking. It's just a guy walking fast. It's not like a sport. And you know, like that this guy doesn't get a lot of respect around the Olympic Village, you know, from like the sprinters and stuff, you know. Going, hey Fred, good stroll today there, man. That was the briskest stroll. What do you smashed the 20-minute mile? I heard. They said it could never be done. But you know what's weird is that guy gets a gold medal, and meanwhile, like the decathlon champ, he gets a gold medal. You know, that's not fair. Like they shouldn't get the same thing. You get the gold medal. You're the world's greatest athlete. You do 10, and then the other guy walks fast. It's like crazy.
They should have another medal.
Yeah, they should have.
Right.
He should get they should give that guy like a stick or something. You get a stick, you know?
A nice stick, but a stick.
Yeah, a nice stick. That's for you, buddy. And then you can do all your great endorsement deals there afterwards.
Oh, that's Norm Macdonald. Great stuff. Mike Desitel on the stream says, if you were a mobster or a made man, what would your mob name be? Well, that's interesting. The Ice Pick. I don't know. I would think of creative ways to kill people. Like, I think I would like the number 2 pencil. Like, just stab someone to death with a pencil.
The con.
The con. Oh, the con man.
The convoy.
Why? Does he run scams? No, his name's Con.
The convoy, because I always ride in a convoy.
He got his mob name from 2 morning talk show hosts. Mike continues, Pete Schwaba and Robert Dennis are my 2 favorite wise guys. Mike is thinking we are wise guys, and we are, but we're the different kind of wise guys. We're not... I don't think Bob is in the mob. What if Bob was really like a mob kingpin, and I'm having him in here to talk about the mob, and he's seconds away from crushing my skull every time he's in here. And then Mike says, one of my favorite mob movies is A Bronx Tale. Great answer, and that's Conrad's favorite too.
Yes.
That's in my top 10 for sure. And another one I kind of forgot about. Where was that? I just saw that on that list you sent on IMDb. Not The Irishman, A Bronx Tale. Oh, Donnie Brasco kind of slips under the radar sometimes. That's Johnny Depp and Al Pacino. Al Pacino is in most of these mob movies, and he's good at it. That's what he does, in my opinion, better than any of his other acting jobs. So, all right. So you can still get in on our question if you like. What is your favorite mob movie? Let us know on the stream, on the app at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC, and we'll read your text on the radio. Trying to give some tickets away here, too. If you guys want to go to Blues, Brews, and Barbecue in Marinette on November 2nd, let us know. We got free tickets for you. And we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen, after this very quick break with our resident mob expert, Robert Dennis. This is Pete Schwaba and Nite Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Can you hear the bass? Boom, I'm ready. Lavish, chillin', honey. Yeah, this bitch chillin' like money. At this go overload. I'm in today. I'm good to go. I'm down. You know I go.
This is the talk of Green Bay, WGBW.
In the market for a home loan? It's time to meet Kristen Ambos, the top 1% of loan originators in the U.S. and the #1 female loan officer in Wisconsin for 2 years running. With over 20 years experience, Kristen and Point Mortgage Corporation are here to serve all of your lending needs, from conventional to FHA, USDA, and VA loans. Plus, with their rate match guarantee, if they can't beat your pre-approved rate, they'll pay you $500. Call Kristen Ambos today at 920-606-1156 and let her and Point Mortgage make your home ownership dreams come true.
When it comes to accurate, reliable election information for Wisconsin voters, visit the official site. It's myvote.wi.gov. It's the big cheese, you could say. It's your one-stop source for official Wisconsin election information. Find your polling place, see your sample ballot, make sure your registration is up to date, and more at myvote.wi.gov. Sponsored by Wisconsin Elections Commission, aired by Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Mino and the Mayor.
We have with us Beckett Kay, who is a 9-year-old podcaster. Who's your favorite player then? I mean, you like
on the Ravens?
In general. In general. Let me guess.
I know what you're going to say, and I'm not going to like it.
It's Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Go ahead.
I don't like your sarcasm.
we were talking to break too. All right. I happen to like
It's Justin Jefferson.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6.
Tom from New Berlin, he's in the 414. He says Norm Love, a big Norm McDonald. Unless that's random and he was talking about Norm from Cheers for no other reason. I find that to be kind of funny, actually, but I think he's referring to Norm McDonald. And, yeah, very funny. Very funny, Tom. I agree with you, and glad you like that. Jim from Appleton says, Angels with Filthy Souls. Pure Camp, the gangster movie, and Home Alone. Yes. I read the first part of that. It's like, why did that sound so familiar? You remember that when he's like, keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yes.
That's great. Tom from New Berlin says, Pete, thanks. I don't know what you're thanking me for, Tom, but you're very welcome.
The Norm Love.
It's, just for playing that. Okay. That's what we're doing here, Tom. We're trying to entertain. So glad you liked it. And thanks for listening, buddy. From the 608, I think he means me. Take me home for de Bruise der Hay to the hood. Sometimes you just get a text and it's like, okay.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. We need a translator for that, though, please, 608. So please explain, and we will clear the record there, or clear the air there. All right, so this is exciting. I had this next gentleman on the show a few months ago. We had a lot of fun talking about the mob and the mafia, and I thought it was high time he came back and joined us again, and he is here tonight in the studio. Bob Dennis is here. He is a mob. Would you say you're a mob expert, Bob, or just a guy with a lot of knowledge? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, here's the deal. Years ago, back when I was still in broadcasting, I was told that an expert was the person who knew how much dynamite to place up the backside of a bull to blow off the horns without irritating the bull. So I am not an expert.
Wow. Where did you go to broadcasting school?
I went to Elkins Institute in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Very nice. You got the voice, too. That doesn't surprise me.
It's on loan. I borrowed it.
That's okay. Great to have you here. Thanks for coming back.
Can I say a couple quick things real quick?
Absolutely.
I just want to thank people who are listening on your Civic-wide media network.
Okay.
Marshall and Gretchen at WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids.
Sure.
Tom from Minocqua at WR, I don't know what that letter is. My handwriting is horrible. Ray and Heidi up in Hayward at WBZH. Goody at WCFW in Eau Claire. And Tim in Minneapolis, who is listening online.
Outstanding. That's nice. Thank you all for listening. And would they be listening even if you weren't here?
I would assume so. I would think so.
Either way, it's great to have them.
You know.
And thank you for helping bring an audience. That's great. That's not the only reason I booked you, though, Bob. I love
I'm
talking
not
to you.
paying. I'm not giving you money.
Conrad, you're supposed to get the money before he put the headphones on.
It's the old
I
Bob,
can't stress that enough.
It's the old Bob Uecker line about he said he went to play for the Brewers, and his contract was $3,000. And he said his father worked quite a while, but they were able to come up with it.
Oh, it worked out well for him, however that happened. Bob, are you, I wanted to have you here tonight, too, because we've been talking a lot about scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about movies in general, but given that it's Halloween season, I just needed a break, as fun as they are to talk about, and haunted stories and all that kind of stuff. Are you a big fan of Halloween?
I like Halloween, and I like the movies, but I like the older movies better.
The older
I'm an
scary
old
movies?
guy, you know?
Yeah. Do you have a favorite scary movie?
Anything from basically about 1930 on through into the probably the early 70s.
Okay.
You know, it's just, and I know when I was here last time, I mentioned that my father helped to run a drive-in movie theater in Minneapolis called the Hunter Twin Drive-In. So we saw every scary movie that came out, and they were usually pretty campy and pretty, B-grade quality type movies.
Right.
But it was fun.
They didn't have the effects back then. Now I can't believe the movies kids are allowed to watch because some of them look so real.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the movies you're probably talking about, you were probably a little scared, but you knew it was a movie just because of what the technology where that was at, right? I mean,
well, and years ago when I was still in school, I went to a theater in St. Paul where they were showing the original, now I'm not going to be able to come up with the name. Feed Me, Seymour. What's the movie?
Little Shop of Horrors?
Yes, they showed the original one, which was in black and white.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting in the front because it was a huge theater filled with college kids, and the first close-up was of this beautiful blonde lady. And I had a little bit of a libation that night, and as soon as that first close-up came, I screamed at the top of my lungs, and the whole place went nuts. There was popcorn flying, there were candy bars flying. For the rest of the night, it was just nuts. But it was fun.
Did you like the remake with Rick Moranis?
Yes,
and Steve Martin?
yes, I did. I love Rick Moranis.
I do too.
And I know that he took a break in his career because his wife had passed away, and he wanted to spend the time with his family. While
I
they were
didn't know
growing
that.
up. Yes.
Okay.
That's why he actually stepped back from acting, and has in
Really?
recent years now begun to do a little bit more to come back.
The song, is it Amanda Plummer? Who sings Suddenly Seymour? It's such a great song. I love that song. And the movie's just so much fun. I kind of forgot about it until you just mentioned it.
I love that insert of the music. It's like in Beetlejuice where they sing, "Hey-oh."
Yeah.
You know.
Have you seen the new Beetlejuice?
I have not.
Beetlejuice?
I have not.
Okay. I haven't seen it either. I'm kind of behind on the Conrad has seen.
Yep, I've seen both of them.
And you liked the new one.
I did. It was a fun movie.
All right. Because I did see Beetlejuice years ago. Would I be lost if I saw this Beetlejuice?
No, actually, because I watched them out of order.
Okay.
I watched Beetlejuice because I just saw it. I was bored.
Wow.
Because it's on now you can watch it on Prime, but you have to pay for it, And if you watch that first and then watch Beetlejuice, but it is fun to watch them in order, I'd say.
I think it's funny when you end up watching a movie just because you're too lazy to do your laundry or get off the couch. I might as well watch the sequel.
How'd you know?
I've been there on Sundays, Bob Dennis is here. We're going to talk about mob movies.
Sure.
And I'd love to ask you after the news where you think the state of the mafia is in California, in Wisconsin. these days? Does it have teeth? Is it still there? We'll talk about all of that. Bob Dennis is in studio. So much fun talking about the things I talk about with Bob, and I'll read some more of your texts too. That's coming up next after Civic Media's award-winning news keeps you informed. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Right back to where it should have been. 'Cause now she's gone and I am free. And she can't do a thing to me. I just wanna dance the night away with senoritas who can sway. Right now tomorrow's looking bright, just like the sunny morning light. And if you should see her, please let her know that I'm well. As you can tell.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Celebrations and worry across Israel after the assassination of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. The hero Moor's uncle was an Israeli hostage who died in captivity.
I'm not shedding one single tear for the life of him.
Sinwar, the architect of the October 7th attacks, killed today by Israeli troops in Gaza. A Texas county judge delaying the scheduled execution today of a man who would be the first in the U.S. put to death in a shaken baby syndrome case. Earlier today, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected a clemency plea. In La Crosse, Wisconsin,
Election day is in 19 days.
Vice President Kamala Harris barnstorming the battleground state today. President Biden arrived in Germany tomorrow, meetings with European leaders, likely the last of his presidency. Researchers finding that RSV vaccines dramatically reduced ER visits and hospitalizations for Americans over 60 years old who had symptoms of RSV infections over the last year. This is ABC News.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Civic Media News, I'm Derek Tritz. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Wisconsin's unemployment rate is holding steady. The Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development says the state's jobless rate was 2.9% in September. Wisconsin's labor force increased by 6,700 workers over the month. Wisconsin farmers are helping other farmers hit hard by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Savannah Tomei Olson reports.
Farmers here in Wisconsin are delivering hay for animals in North Carolina and Tennessee. It started with a Northwoods Window Company, who teamed up with a Merrill farmer to send 54 large bales of hay to North Carolina. So far now, 10 trucks from across the country have delivered hay to states impacted by the hurricanes. They're looking for more drivers to take down more hay, if you're interested. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson.
And that's what you need to know. I'm Derek Tritz, and this is Civic Media News.
For WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Does prayer or an invocation belong at the start of a governmental meeting? That was the question in front of the Green Bay Council Tuesday night. Alder Joey Presley.
I didn't deliver an invocation last week. We didn't seem harmed by it. We still have freedom of religion. You can pray before the meetings. You can pray on your own time in your head.
Each alder takes a turn in delivering the invocation. The council asked the mayor to draft up guidelines for future invocations and prayers. Fire danger is high in Wisconsin today. The DNR is enforcing burn bans in many areas due to dry conditions caused by a lack of precipitation in the past month and the drying of vegetation this fall. The DNR's Amy Penn.
This week we actually have had a couple fires started from mowing operations, so it has to be pretty dry before that can cause a wildfire.
You can visit the DNR website to see the most recent dashboard. And that's what you need to know. I'm Lisa Hale, WGBW News.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly clear, a low close to 40 tonight. More sunshine tomorrow and warmer, a little breezy as well. High near 70. Slight shower chance tomorrow night. Weekend, mix of sun and clouds, 70s continue. Temps stay above average to start next week. It's 55 right now.
From the Lake Shore to Lake Winnebago.
Door to Fond du Lac counties.
Northeast Wisconsin is special for many different reasons. I'm Lisa Hale.
And I'm Terry Barr. Family and fun.
Safe communities and friends. We're featuring all of it as part of New Wisco Weekend, a news magazine show just for you, and highlighting what makes the Fox Valley and Green Bay area a great place to live.
Join us.
New Wisco Weekend, Saturday mornings at 8, Sundays at 11 on WGBW and WISS and the Civic Media app. The Dom Salvia Show.
And I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
What happens when a woman votes for a man?
Turns into a man. But that's okay, though.
That's fine.
Yeah, because then she gets control of her body.
Oh.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
The Dom Salvia Show. Weekdays from 4 till 6 on the Civic Media Radio Network and on the Civic Media app. Dom Salvia.
Matt Rothschild subbing in.
Get up home. I wanna drive them home. When you're feeling blue.
Bridget from the 818 says Eastern Promises, Viggo Mortensen. And she says Viggo Mortensen is a great actor. He is a great actor, and he was in a film called The History of Violence. And I remember I saw that film, but I don't remember a mob connection. But I think he kind of is hiding out and has to do something violent, and then his kind of backstory unravels a little bit. But I have not seen Eastern Promises. Thank you, Bridget, for that. I will definitely check that out. Melinda in Sun Prairie says, ever see the dildo scene in Slums of Beverly Hills, one of my favorites for mob movies? Married to the Mob, female mobsters. Yes, I did see Married to the Mob. I feel like I saw Slums of Beverly Hills, but I don't remember that. I will say, Melinda, but thank you for the most controversial text of the night. It's great to hear from you. Anna says, Pete, please ask your guest what he thinks of the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. All right, we'll do that. I want to say real quick before we get back into it with Bob, that tomorrow night on the show, we have Ron Helmick. He is a paranormal investigator from Racine. He's going to be here tomorrow night with actual audio of a ghost that he captured while paranormally investigating. So I'm too chicken to play the file he sent, because last night I got the email at like 12:30 at night. I was up alone. I'm like, I don't want to hear a ghost audio file right before I go to bed. So Conrad and I both decided we're going to listen to it tomorrow right before we go on the air, because neither one of us, we're both too freaked out to listen to it. So Ron will be here tomorrow. That's for Freaky Friday at 6:35. And then also it's a bar band Friday night. So Terry Barr will be here at 7:35 with great music and sparkling conversation like every week from Terry. My guest is Bob Dennis. We're talking about the mob tonight, and Bob sort of inspired tonight's question, your favorite mob films. So we'll read some more text in just a little bit, but I want to make sure we have a discussion here with Bob. What about that museum in Las Vegas, Bob?
It's fantastic.
Really?
If you get a chance, or if you go to Las Vegas, I mean, there's a lot of glitz and glamour and all the other kind of crazy stuff in Vegas, but if you get a chance to see the Mob Museum in Vegas, go. Because they have actual artifacts from people who were, mobsters.
Like murder weapons and stuff like that?
Yes,
wow, really?
True Tommy guns and knives and whatnot. And and they'll show you some of the historical aspect to it. They'll tell you about the truth of what happened out there and how it began, how it was actually a crossroads in the desert.
Yeah.
Where they had just a couple small little buildings and a gas station when Bugsy Siegel went out there and said, "This is where we're going to build it,"
And they thought he was crazy, right? Like when he tried to sell the New York mob on it? Yeah.
Yes. Well, and where he got into trouble was he was skimming money along with his
girlfriend,
friend.
right?
Yeah, I can't think of her name. I want to say Veronica Lake, but I don't think that's right. It's somebody else. And that's where he got into trouble. That's why they took him out. And right after they took him out, they just had this huge bonanza. I mean, Las Vegas just took off like crazy. And it was like,
crazy?
everyone's like, let's go there. I was there in 1968 with my parents, and it was still very much the old
mob
Vegas.
control.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
yeah,
100%.
right.
I mean, you went to a what was it called? The Golden
Sands.
Golden. It was a restaurant, Golden Cafe,
Nugget?
Golden Cow, something like that. And you'd walk in there, and there'd be people like Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra or other mafia people that were there, and you went in. And my dad loved that kind of stuff. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're going there." And then we're there, and my mom's like, "Yeah, Roy, I don't think we should be in here. This does not look a good place for the kids." You know,
the kids aren't going to get whacked.
Yeah, it's like, you know, they don't care. You know,
Right.
it's a family thing. So.
I love the story, and maybe we talked about this last time you were here, where the Chicago mob had some kind of inside info about new regulations in Vegas. So they set up a deal with the New York mob, and they said, you can have all the new hotels. We want these hotels. And it was the Stardust and some other places, fully knowing that they weren't going to be able to control everything the way they could. So that created some bad blood. But when I moved to LA in the 90s, I got to stay at the Stardust with my wife on our drive out there about a year before they tore it down. And that was a great hotel that had a lot of mob history, I know, from the Chicago mob anyway. But so where is the state of the mob right now, Bob, in Wisconsin? I know in Milwaukee you had the Balistraries, and there was a lot of organized crime here. Maybe not like Chicago or New York or whatever, but there was definitely organized crime in Wisconsin. Where are things at now?
It's not the same in Wisconsin as it is in other places in the country. Wisconsin, especially Milwaukee, was never really known as a violent place. They were like a second level of mob and mafia and criminality. They did all the scamming, and they were huge into jukeboxes. It was a huge jukebox thing, because anything that generated cash of any kind was always a huge thing for the mob, because they could then, you know, launder money.
Right.
And it sounds like you're thinking nickels and dimes and quarters, but it ends up being billions of dollars.
Right.
So, but they also were under the eye of Chicago.
Right.
They really didn't do anything without being first approved by, you know, the powers that be in Chicago, which is why they were able to continue to exist. And Frank Balistrari was the man in charge for many, many, many years.
Right.
And you don't do that unless you got a good relationship with, you know, the big guys.
And was it a little easier for like a mob organization to exist in Milwaukee, because you have a Chicago, which is called, we talked about the outfit. But they had probably more eyes on them from the federal government or law enforcement, I would imagine. Was it a little easier to exist in Milwaukee?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, there were the FBI when they followed the Milwaukee mafia around. Oftentimes, it would follow them and have a report on something, and then after a while, like, yeah, this is nothing. But if you want to listen to a good podcast about the Milwaukee Mafia, it is called The Milwaukee Mafia, and Gavin Schmidt and Eric Waltgrens. And wonderful. I'm giving them a plug.
Okay.
But it's absolutely wonderful, because they go very in depth in it, and it gives you a lot of detail. Kind of a plug there. I'm sorry. But
That's okay. No, I listen, I'm fascinated. I think I told you last time you were here, I read a whole bunch of books by Bill Romer, a former FBI agent, who talks about the days when they finally got the go-ahead from J. Edgar Hoover, to place bugs in these social clubs. And the stuff they found out was incredible. But and we've talked about that too before. The Chicago mob, as I understand it, what I've read was at one point the biggest criminal outfit in the history of the world, because they controlled everything. New York was broken up into 5 families. Chicago controlled all of Chicago, everything west of the Mississippi, because they had the Hollywood unions, and Vegas as well. Where is the state of the mob in places like Chicago and New York? You said it's a little more prominent outside of Wisconsin. How are those organizations?
They are all still strong.
Okay.
But the thing is that because you see more about international things going on, about the cartels and the drugs and whatnot, you don't hear as much about it. But there are still massive amounts of illegal things going on, everything from gambling to, I'm trying to think what else, obviously some drugs and alcohol. And the big thing that for a while, believe it or not, was cigarettes. Heisting or boosting semis full of cigarettes and just taking them out and selling them. And they sell them for quite a bit less, because they didn't have to pay the taxes on them, and people turned around on the street and used them as well.
And didn't they control like the gambling machines in bars and stuff? I heard they made a lot of money doing that.
A lot of money
stuff.
on that as well.
Okay.
And of course they could fix them to make them hit or miss as often as they wanted. And that's true in Vegas as well, whether you realize it or not. They can fix them to make the slots loose or tight. And if business is not doing so well, they loosen them up. The other thing to know is that if you go to Vegas, you go to any of the different casinos, walk in there and stand, not too long because they get nervous when you stand too long, but stand beneath the speakers in the ceiling. And the speakers in the ceiling are feeding the sound of the machines paying out. You know, the ding, 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 ding. That sound is going through the speakers constantly. So even if the machine...
So it sounds like...
Yeah, it sounds like people are winning. Yeah, but
oh, wow.
they may not be. So
I love those tricks that they have when the casinos. I remember when I lived in LA and I would go do casinos around near Vegas or in like Needles, California, wherever. They always have these roadside casinos. And my buddy Jimmy Pardo and I stayed there and gambled one night. I thought it was like 3 a.m. We walked out. It was like 7:30 in the morning. No clocks. They pump pure oxygen into the places. So you have all this energy. Like they know all those tricks, don't they? To keep people there and emptying their pockets.
You just lose any grasp of reality that's going on. And when I was in Las Vegas a few times, some of the times for broadcast conventions, and believe it or not, a couple of times when we had to do basketball tournaments there. The Adidas 64 was there for the AAU championships, and I was there for that. The great part about it was that you could still smoke cigars, so you could go in and stand in the casinos and smoke cigars and just kind of watch what was going on. And it was amazing the amount of money people were plinking away there.
My guest is Bob Dennis. He is a mob aficionado, let's call you.
Sure.
He's a guy who knows a lot about the mob, and that's why he's on the show tonight. He has been gracious enough to come into the studio. The text line says, not sure, Mike Desdell, not sure you want to be the pencil killer. Your nickname could be number 2. I'd be okay with that. Dave on the text line says, Norm was great in the middle. I forgot Norm MacDonald was on the middle. Thank you for that, Dave. Dave says, I'm Lillerv. Oh, Little Irv. The Brews and Q's sounds fun. Dave, if you want tickets, let us know. We can set you up. Conrad will take your information, so let us know on the stream. Mike says, have Bob slide a little closer to you so we can see him better. What kind of sick, perverted thing are you running there, Mike Desitel? Bob is here. You can see Bob. Mike's just your friend. He's trying to have fun.
Yes, he's just... what are you doing there watching this? You should, you should be doing something productive.
Listen to the radio, Mike. Yeah. Oh,
Mike is a great guy.
Mike's a wonderful guy. He connected us. He introduced us. So we owe Mike, Conrad, send Mike $10. He gets a taste. Okay. We're talking about the mob here. Do you have favorite mob movies, Bob?
Any of the contemporaries I absolutely love. I mean, there are so many things, and I need to say this before we forget. The Godfather, the first one. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I think it is on the Paramount Network, but it's called The Offer.
Oh, it's so great.
That is just fantastic. It's based in part on the book, Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli.
Oh, okay. Right.
And that is such a great show. And
that show is like, it's amazing how a show about the making of a movie or getting a movie made can be so intoxicating. It was so great. Miles Teller is great, and the whole cast is great. I totally agree. That's a phenomenal watch.
We were hooked on it. I mean, we couldn't wait for it to come out. And now, recently, Al Pacino, his new book called Sonny Boy just came out on Tuesday, and he has been making the rounds and talking about all the different things that happened with him while making the movie, one of which was they were going to fire him.
Yeah.
And because they thought he was too laid back and didn't have the bones to do the job. And Coppola was told, listen, he might be a good theater guy, but he's a lousy movie guy, and was worried about it because so many of his friends had said, listen, this is the kid. And so they changed the order of the filming of The Godfather, and they went from his first scene, which was actually filmed in the hospital where he's with Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
After Brando's been shot. That was the first scene he ever shot.
Really?
And he said he was scared to death because it was Marlon Brando. And then things weren't going so well, so Coppola switched up the film and had the shot of the restaurant scene.
Yeah.
And one of the things they did, if you watch, is when he goes into the bathroom to get the gun from behind the tank, they didn't put the gun where it was supposed to be.
I think I read this, yes.
Put it in a different spot so that he actually would be a little panicked looking for this gun. So you're watching that scene, and when you realize that, you realize, oh, he is getting kind of nervous. So
I remember that and noticing that the first time I saw it, because you remember they planted the gun there, and then Pacino goes in to look for it. And they showed what I read something very similar to what you just said. The studio wanted Robert Redford to play Michael Corleone. And I was like, he's a great actor, but come on. Now that you've done it, and Al Pacino, God love him, said in that memoir, an excerpt I read was that he and Diane Keaton were laughing between takes at the wedding, shooting the wedding, the opening scene, and they thought they were in the worst movie and they were ruining their careers.
It
just goes
isn't
to
that
show
amazing? Also, I know you're going to have to go to a break, but the scene with Lenny Montana, Luca Brasi.
Oh, yeah.
That was an accidental scene. They were filming Diane Keaton and Pacino, and he was in the background practicing his line. He truly was practicing. Lenny Montana was a wrestler and an enforcer for the mafia at one point. And he was truly practicing that scene. So Coppola did a quick pinch on it to be able to get that video of him and then actually used it in the movie. He recut everything to make it fit.
It's funny because I think that scene where he's with Marlon Brando, that whole sequence is lit so beautifully. It's such an isolation, desperate scene. I love that, and I can't believe the studio would have had to see the other scene, which was great too, but it's like, if you don't see you have a great actor at that point.
Yeah.
All right, Bob Dennis is here. We'll have more mob talk and mob movie talk coming up. Bob's going to help me close out the show here. Great to have you with me on this Thursday night edition of Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Todd Allball Show.
Your new Total Wine in Appleton has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order in-store or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Appleton at Fox River Commons next to Barnes & Noble.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Cranberry juice, cranberry wine, cranberry brats, cranberry cream puffs. And excuse me, but my cranberry bread is ready. It's cranberry season in Wisconsin, and we're the cranberry capital of not just the U.S., but our farmers also produce more than half of the world's cranberry supply. So can you guess which state Wisconsin beat out to earn the #1 spot? New Jersey, Washington State, Massachusetts? The answer coming up. Fall is harvest time, and you can see the machines rolling through the marshlands, which are flooded to help the cranberries float to the top. But it hasn't always been this easy. Back in the mid-1800s, the berries had to be picked by hand. It took another 100 years for the right equipment to be built to help with this harvest. Okay, so Wisconsin owns the cranberry capital title, but which state lost it to us? Massachusetts, which has been #2 ever since. By the way, the cranberry is the official state fruit, making it a true slice of Wisconsin. I'm Terry Barr for the Civic Media Radio Network.
As a federally licensed broadcast company, this Civic Media station is required by FCC regulations to accept advertising by all qualified candidates for federal office. We also accept ads from state and local candidates. We do screen announcements from issue groups and PACs and exercise discretion in airing announcements with blatantly false claims or outrageous unfounded statements. These announcements do not necessarily reflect the views of Civic Media.
We are back. Got a few more minutes here with Bob Dennis, our resident mob guru, mob expert, mob aficionado. He is not in the mob. I want to make that very clear, ladies and gentlemen, so the law enforcement pulling up outside can back off. Bob, you have a podcast gathering happening soon. You wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yes, actually.
Tell us about that.
Thank you for letting me bring this
Sure.
up. It's called A Little Something for Everyone. It's a live podcasting experience. It's going to be held in Appleton. Can I say the name of the establishment?
Yeah.
It's McFleshman's, which is just off College Avenue in Appleton, on
Okay.
the second floor in the Prohibition Room.
Oh, I love it.
And there will be multiple people who are there. Bobby and Allison Fleshman it's a bar, but they do a podcast called Respecting the Beer. And
Okay.
they will be doing that. Gary Arndt will be there doing his Everything Everywhere Daily. Jess Hesley will be there with her meditation will. I'll be there for Mob and Mafia News. Eric Walterkins and Gavin will be there for the Fox Cities Murder and Mayhem, as well as
Oh,
their
nice.
Mob and Mafia, or Milwaukee Mafia. And it's a chance for people to find out about podcasting and what they can do. And it's really very simple, very easy. I mean, it's very there's nothing to it. I mean, if I can do it, anyone can.
You know what I think we need are more podcasts. I don't think there are nearly enough podcasts out there. I can't keep up. Every time somebody suggests a podcast, it just goes in one ear and out the other, unless it really grabs me, because there's just so many, and there's a lot of good ones too. I don't even know how you keep up with it. You know,
I listen in the car when I go from point to point. Now,
right.
Granted, you know, there's the old saying in Green Bay: if you're gone more than 10 minutes, you're out of town. But you know, so I'm trying to listen to as many as I can, and I do. I enjoy them, but I have to have an agenda to listen, because if I don't, I'll miss out on them. There's also there's one that is not a Green Bay one, and that is Tim Dennis, who is related, has the Darkness Radio, which is also about paranormal things and all that kind of creepy stuff, and that I kind of try to avoid because I'm kind of a chicken.
Okay.
So, but
That's
it
fair.
I've actually listened. It is a wonderful podcast. So.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, you know, there's a lot I wanted to get with you. Your experiences, you know, with Hollywood when you were younger sound interesting too. But let's we're just gonna have to have you back sooner, I guess, because I don't think we'll have time for that. But I do want to ask you, who to you is the most intriguing mafia character in American history?
It's going to be hard to believe, but it's a guy named Arnold Rothstein.
Okay.
Arnold Rothstein was a genius. Okay. He didn't have a group of people who followed him, but everybody dealt with him in New York. You couldn't do anything without Arnold Rothstein having a hand in it, financially, intellectually, helping everybody in New York and all the different families to facilitate and keep everybody from killing each other. And he basically kept things together. He ended up having a tragic end, as oftentimes they do, because he had overextended himself, and they said, yeah, you got to pay this back. He didn't have the money. He was very close to a big payout. They killed him. 2 days later, it hit big time, and there was like millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was dead.
Was he an accountant?
He was just a math genius. A lot of these guys never had education, never went, never did anything. You know, Capone was another one who was a mathematical genius,
really,
and an organizational genius, and just an amazing kind of thing. These guys, and you say, well, why couldn't they do something else and get a real job and do that? I mean, really sit behind?
They didn't want that.
Who wants to sit behind a desk? You know, I mean,
it's like that line in Goodfellas when Ray Liotta is narrating and he says, "We saw these people going to work and sitting in their cars. We thought they were suckers. We thought they had no." I don't even know if I can say the word, but one more question for you, Bob. Who's the most powerful gangster in American history?
Oh, absolutely ever would have been Al Capone.
Okay.
He controlled everything. He was a psychopath.
Right.
He was both probably the most generous man people knew as far as community, giving people money, giving them food, facilitating their homes. But if you messed with him, you were dead. And he basically ran everything from Chicago out to California until he was cornered. And when he was cornered and captured, it wasn't by the police; it was by an accountant.
Right. How about that?
Isn't that amazing?
I think it's interesting too. We talked a little bit during the break about the North Side and South Side gangs in Chicago. The South Side were the Italians, and the North Side were the Irish, and they coexisted well until Bugs Moran's outfit or O'Banion's outfit got too greedy.
Yep.
And that's how the St. Valentine's Day Massacre went down. That was their retribution or their payback for being greedy. And I remember this, I can't remember where I read it. There was a shootout, and Bugs Moran had his gun pointed at Al Capone, who was on the street and had been shot in a shootout. And he said something to him. I can't remember. And he shot, and he was out of bullets.
Yeah.
That would have ended Al Capone and the North Side gang. The Irish gang would have continued. That is an incredible bit of history, how it just turned.
It just, it misfired and it didn't work. And it was like, okay. That was actually shortly before the St. Valentine's Massacre. And it was right around the time that they killed O'Banion.
Okay.
And yes, it's just fascinating. But you have a connection to the St. Valentine's Day.
I do. My cousin Pete Schwaba, God rest his soul, just passed away a couple weeks ago, and he was a great guy. His grandfather, my great grandfather, who Pete was named after, Peter Hyacinth Schwaba, was the judge who set the bail for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre shooters. And he was shot at one point, too, leaving the courthouse with his boss in Chicago.
Wow.
And originally from Stevens Point, of the Stevens Point Schwabas. I didn't even know, that side of my family doesn't talk much. I got the Irish side, who never stops talking, and then I've got the Polish-German side, who are very quiet. We didn't even know that was a thing that he set the bail for the shooters until about 5 years ago in this family history. I'm like, that's a cool thing to talk about. You can mention that. It's not bragging if you really did it. Hey, Bob, this has been fun. Let's do it again soon. And I'd like to thank Eric Hulse from Colonel Popcorn. Check out their operation. You can order it through the mail. Great holiday gift. Thank you for all your texts. And thank you to Bob Dennis. Always fun to have you here, buddy.
It's fun.
So much fun. And thank you to the lovable producer, Conrad.
You're welcome. What a terrific guy.
Was it Jack Lemon you wanted to say
yes,
one more time?
Jack
okay.
Lemon.
Jack Lemon, a man of few words. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with more Nightlight. It's a Freaky Friday and Bar Band Friday night. We got a lot going on tomorrow night, folks. Hope you can make it. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight. Good night, Wisconsin.
Take me to your best friend's house, Mama.